Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. It feels like every day there's some new tech trend that promises to change the world, right?
Yeah, it's tough to keep up.
Well, today we're tackling a big one, generative AI, and what it means for sustainability. And especially if you're wondering how AI could actually help you hit your goals, this is the one to really pay attention to.
It's a hot topic for sure, and it seems like everyone's talking about it.
Exactly. So to help us cut through the hype, we're diving deep into a brand new report from the UN Global Compact, and this thing is getting a ton of buzz.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, it's basically the playbook for businesses that want to use AI for good, to make a real difference.
And the report's saying that almost every business leader out there, like something like 97%, believes that AI is going to completely transform their industries.
It's huge. We're seeing that too, but, and this is key. This report is just as much about making sure we're using AI responsibly as it is about all the exciting potential. There's always a flip side, right?
Oh, for sure. So before we get too far, I think it's good to make sure we're all on the same page. We're talking about generative AI here, or Gen AI, which is, it's not just AI looking at data, it's AI that can actually create stuff like writing, code, even designs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just talk. Businesses are putting their money where their mouth is. This report says that global investments in AI could hit something crazy like $200 billion by 2025.
Wow, that's a lot of zeros. But this isn't just about companies jumping on the AI bandwagon, right? They see Gen AI as a way to actually achieve those big sustainability goals and faster. We're talking using AI across the board, from getting materials to talking to customers.
Absolutely. And the report gives a really cool example with Siemens, the industrial giant. They're using Gen AI in their factories with Microsoft's help.
Oh, cool. Like how?
So imagine being able to create code for these really complex machines just by talking to the AI.
Yeah.
It's cutting down on mistakes and freeing up the engineers so they can do more, creative problem solving.
Less downtime, more brain power sounds like a win-win. But it's bigger than just making things run smoother, right?
Yeah.
This report also talks about how AI can be used to come up with entirely new products and services that are built with sustainability in mind from the ground up.
And a really cool example of this is Yamaha. They used Gen AI to actually design an electric vehicle. Yeah, specifically for, get this, Asian farmers in Japan. And what's super interesting is that they used AI for the whole design process. Everything from how to make the vehicle cut through the air better to what materials would be the most efficient. It's a great example of how AI can tackle these really specific challenges in a way that's both effective but also sustainable.
So far, so good, but we got to talk about the other side of this, right? The potential downsides. The report doesn't shy away from this stuff. Things like, AI being biased, how much energy it takes to run these systems, even what it could mean for jobs.
And of course, the risk that someone might misuse it. We're talking about some seriously powerful tech here. This report isn't saying jump in with both feet. It's about taking it slow, being careful, and that all starts with understanding both the amazing potential and the risks.
Okay, so it's a lot to take in for sure, but that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
To break it all down. Now, this report, it actually lays out 4 main ways businesses are using Gen AI right now to do good.
Real world stuff, which is always helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting because we're talking practical stuff here, things you can learn from and maybe even use in your own work. So the first thing they talk about is operational efficiency. Basically using AI to make things run smoother, less waste, and just being more efficient.
And this is cool. A lot of times, being more efficient also means being more sustainable. Like the report found that when companies use AI to manage their energy, they can actually cut their carbon footprint by something like 15%.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah. It's like taking millions of cars off the road.
That's amazing. It's wild how AI can find those hidden efficiencies that we might not even realize are there. But it goes beyond just what's happening within a company's own walls, right? The report also talks about sustainable value chains, which feels like a really big deal these days.
Totally. People want to know where their stuff comes from and how it's made, and they want companies to be upfront about it.
Right. Transparency is huge.
Huge. And AI can really help with that, building those ethical and sustainable supply chains that consumers are demanding.
Okay, so how does that actually work? Give me an example.
Sure. So Unilever, they're using AI to keep tabs on deforestation that's connected to the palm oil they use, which, a lot of companies use palm oil.
Yeah, it's in everything.
So they're using satellite pictures and AI to watch how the land's being used and to flag any deforestation that's happening within their supply chain.
Mm.
It's really kind of amazing when you think about it, using this tech to make sure they're sourcing things ethically and protecting those important ecosystems.
It's a great example of tech being used for good. Now, what about using all this to create totally new solutions, like for a more sustainable future? That's where the innovation piece comes in, and the report's got some cool examples of this.
One that really jumped out was superhuman race. They're using AI to tackle this really, really important issue, which is maternal health.
Oh, wow. Okay, tell me more about that.
So they're working in India, and they've created this AI platform that basically looks at data from expectant moms, things like their medical history, their social and economic situation, all that. And it uses that to find those high-risk pregnancies really early on.
Wow, that's incredible.
Right. And that means healthcare workers can step in sooner and give those women the specific care they need, which can make all the difference. It's a really powerful example of how AI can be used for good, to actually address these urgent social issues and improve people's lives.
That's amazing. It really shows you the potential here. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that might seem kind of boring, but is super important, and that's communication and reporting, all this stuff.
It's like, what's the point of doing all this great work if you can't share it and be transparent about it?
Right, exactly. And no one wants to be stuck in spreadsheet hell, right?
First. And that's where AI can really help. It can automate a lot of that reporting stuff so it's faster and more accurate. And it can also help companies make sure they're not greenwashing, which, that's a growing concern.
Yeah, it's like having this AI watchdog, making sure you're really walking the walk.
Yeah.
But we got to keep it real, right? We've talked about the good stuff, even some really inspiring stuff, but this report doesn't sugarcoat things. It talks about the potential downsides of Gen AI, too.
Right. It's not all sunshine and roses, and we got to talk about those. We're talking about bias that can creep into algorithms, the energy it takes to run these systems, what it could mean for people's jobs, big stuff.
Yeah, for sure, those are real worries. It feels like this technology could solve some of the world's biggest problems, but it comes with its own baggage, too.
And that's exactly why this report really stresses responsible development. It's a call to action for companies, to set some ground rules for AI, be open about where their data is coming from, and make sure these systems were built with fairness and ethics baked in. The UN Global Compact, they have those 10 principles, which are a good framework for this.
So it's not all on the companies creating this tech then, right? We all have a part to play, according to the report.
Absolutely. We have to demand transparency from the companies using AI, push for regulations that make sense, and basically make sure this benefits everyone, not just a select few. This is about shaping the future, right?
Yeah. So we're not just along for the ride here. We actually have a voice, and we can use it to make sure Gen AI is a force for good.
Exactly. And that's what makes this report so important. It's honest about the challenges, but at the end of the day, it's optimistic.
Yeah.
It really believes Gen AI can help us build a more sustainable, more equitable world.
It's a powerful message, and it really struck a chord with me. It's easy to get caught up in the scary side of new technology, but this reminds us that we have the power to decide how it's used. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you to think about. What role will Gen AI play in your sustainability journey? How can you take what we've talked about today and make a difference in your own life, your work, your community? It's a big question and one worth chewing on. And if you want to go even deeper, check out the full report. It's called Gen AI for the Global Goals, and you can find it over on the UN Global Compact website. Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and let's keep working towards that brighter future together.